All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are waiting for one final board member, so we'll give them about 5 minutes. We do need him to have quorum. We'll get the meeting started once he arrives. So thank you guys for your patience. There are agendas here in front of me. If you would like to give public comment and haven't filled out a public comment form, I ask that you do that now as well. So we'll keep you guys updated. Thank you.
You go with it. Yeah. It's entertaining. That's right.
Marianne, I just want to do a mic check while we wait. Can you hear us loud and clear?
Yes, I can.
I can't hear you, so give me 1 second. Can you try again, Mary?
Yeah, okay, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Then I can hear
Okay.
you.
All
Awesome.
right, excellent. I'm going to mute myself now. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Can't remember what they call it. Yeah. I think. Yeah. Yeah. You walk into this. Real fun. Miniature size, right?
Does that get like some
Pretty well.
There's not a reason to wear. You would need that shot.
Got 180 people on here. Get into the ground. Oh, you lost an inch. What do you do now? Landing gear. Frozen.
I know, I texted him.
Get this thing down. Smart, yes. Was that in Universal? Yeah, my son's on 4, so he should hear.
Awesome. I see you on Zoom, Jarrett. So I'm going to promote you to panelist. We'll see you when you get here. All right, Mr. Chair, we do have member Singh on Zoom, so we can get started.
Okay, I am calling what's the date today? January 7th, 2025. Ward 3 Neighborhood Advisory Board meeting to order. Can we start with roll call?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ilya Arbitman.
Here.
Perfect. Marie Rodriguez. Here. Zachary Bolton. Absent at this time. And then Jarrett Singh, he is online and will be joining us shortly.
Here.
Thank you, Jarrett. Mr. Chair, our council liaison, Councilmember Miguel Martinez, absent at this time, and then staff liaison Abigail Mayorga, present. You do have a quorum of the Ward 3 Neighborhood Advisory Board, Mr. Chair.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll move on to item A2, public comment.
Mr. Chair, our first item today is public comment. Members of the public may hear, observe, and provide public comment virtually by registering through the following link, which can be found on the reno.gov/meetings website. And the link is as follows: https://links.reno.gov/41 lowercase t, lowercase n, capital W, 5-4. It should be noted for those in attendance that comments are to be addressed to the board as a whole. Comments heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the agenda. The board may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you are called on for public comment, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name and you will be afforded 3 minutes. And then if you are a participant on Zoom and would like to give public comment, I ask that you raise your hand at this time. Please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. And then, Mr. Chair, we do have public or in-person public commenters, and I'm going to call them both together. Corey Fisher and Jocelyn Runels.
So quick. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Corey Fisher. For the record, I'm a housing manager with the City of Reno Housing and Neighborhood Development Department. We are here simply tonight to just introduce ourselves to the Ward 3 Neighborhood Advisory Board. In February, we hope to be coming back to kick off what we call Love Your Block. So a new program in our department. Love Your Block is a grant program that we received from the Bloomberg Center for Public Innovation at Johns Hopkins University. And it supports a variety of initiatives geared towards resident-led revitalization in neighborhoods. It could be neighborhood revitalization as far as community spaces to co-creation of civic culture, art spaces, community gardens. The possibilities are truly endless. But residents will have the opportunity to provide a great deal of input and apply for some funding to do these projects. So we'll be back in the next few meetings to share more information. We're extremely excited about it, but for now, just wanted to introduce ourselves and looking forward to working with you all.
Hi, and for the record, I'm Jocelyn Reynolds. I am the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg Center for Public Innovation Fellow, but I will be acting as the project manager for the Love Your Block project for the City of Reno, and I'm looking forward to getting to know Ward 3. It's nice to finally have faces, and can't wait for you to hear more about Love Your Block in February. Thank you.
Abby, can I just ask them a question?
Of
real
course,
quick?
Mr. Chair.
Just, it's not about Love Your Block, but about hand in general, because I got a phone call today from someone who was asking about eviction assistance. Is that something that they can get help with through you guys?
Yes, absolutely. We have emergency rental assistance that we can do. We also work with the Reno Justice Court for eviction diversion programs. So we have multiple programs. If they can just call us. I'll leave information at the table with our phone number and email address, and they'll just give us their scenario and we'll figure out which program works best for them.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. And if you're a member on Zoom and would like to give public comment, I ask that you raise your hand at this time, and I'll give you a second to do so. And then seeing none at this time, Mr. Chair, that concludes public comment.
Okay, we'll move on to A3, approval of today's agenda, which is a bit of a longer one. Do I have a motion to approve?
Marie Rodriguez for the record. I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Jarrett Singh for the record. I'd like to second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Agenda is approved. And then we have our minutes from December 3rd. That was a short meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I wasn't here.
I was here and I did review the minutes and I make a motion that we approve them without any corrections.
Jarrett Singh for the record. I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. And if I understand correctly, Councilmember Martinez is not here.
That is correct, Mr. Chair. He does send his Happy New Year's and regards, but he will be with us back in February.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll move on to item A6. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and give me 1 second to pull it up real quick. Awesome. Make sure. Right, Abigail Mayorga for the record. So today's staff liaison report, just a couple updates for you all. A different City of Reno engagement opportunity. So as we are approaching MLK, the City of Reno is partnering with the Nevada Interfaith Association for the 39th Annual Martin Luther King Interfaith Memorial Service, and that is to be held at McKinley Arts and Culture Center. I think this is the third or fourth year we've done it. We've done it consistently for the last couple of years. So it is at McKinley Arts and Culture Center on the 19th at 4 p.m. and it is free at no cost to the public. So if you're interested in attending, please do so. The next one is, oops, sorry. The Senior Winter Games registration is now open for 2025. So if you or if you know anyone who is 50 plus would like to participate, there are different games such as beanbag, baseball, card games, pickleball, and I know various activities. The Senior Winter Games will be held February 3rd through the 14th, but registration is open. And then simple reminder to use Reno Direct. I know that winter is obviously here. So once we begin seeing snow, or if you see potholes around the city of Reno or need just general assistance, like the individual who reached out to you, Mr. Chair, if you know we didn't know or we didn't have a NAB today, they're also a great resource and will be able to get you that hand contact and information. So that is a perfect example. But you can submit a request online or via their phone Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then a couple reminders for our upcoming meetings. There is a Reno City Council meeting tomorrow. So it's here at 10 a.m. We do have Ward 3 NAB appointments. So hopefully we get some new NAB members. We'll see what council decides. And then Planning Commission. Oh, that's a typo. I'm sorry. That should be February 5th at 6 p.m. So I'll make sure to get that corrected when I send that out. And then our next NAB is February 4th. And then finally, you guys have some goodie bags that includes your NAB member handbook, and we'll go a little bit into that in the next presentation. But that is all I have, Mr. Chair.
Sounds good. Yeah, and there's one other typo there, I think, for the date of the Reno City Council meeting should be the 8th, right?
Yes, thank you for catching that. Sorry.
Okay, great. So we'll move right into B1 here, quarterly update from RPD.
I got 2025. I was so concerned about 2025.
Takes a while.
Yeah.
All right. Good evening. My name is Michael Brout. I'm a lieutenant with the Reno Police Department, currently assigned to the Community Services Division Patrol. So just wanted to go over a couple slides here that recap a few months worth of stuff at Reno PD, and then obviously I'll field any questions that you all may have. But just some information about people joining our force. So on December 3rd, we had 18 officers graduate from the academy. And on that date, we had an additional 3 lateral officers that came on board. So a total of 21 who are now going through Patrol Academy, and then they'll be out in the field doing their field training. And then if anyone didn't know about it, in 2022, we started a program we call our Early Hire Program. We're basically with the competition across the country for police officer bodies, a lot of people would apply to a lot of different departments, and we were seeing that we would lose individuals because a paycheck was available sooner than our academy started in a different city. So to help combat that, we started this early hire program where we bring people on board. We start teaching them some of the administrative tasks of our job. And then once they're all onboarded, they start the academy on the same date. So currently, there were 21 recruits in this program just prior to January 6th. They started the academy Monday. But it's proven a very useful tool for us to basically get people started so that we don't lose them to another agency who perhaps has an academy starting earlier or something like that. So that's just one way that we're trying to fish out of the limited pond. Next, I'm sure you all have heard of the chief's program that she launched last year, the DEEDS program. Just wanted to touch on the previous 3 zones that we've worked. It's basically month to month, although we're in like a mid-month cycle. But the previous 3 zones were the East 4th Street corridor, Paradise Park area, and then Meadowood Mall. The 4th Street corridor was done in conjunction with the sheriff's office to address some of the issues in that corridor. The images you're seeing there are just kind of hotspot mapping of areas where we've experienced higher calls for service. And then the Paradise Park, kind of the same thing, blight issues, and then Meadowood Mall was for December, basically just because of the increased activity around there for the holiday season as far as shopping and just a lot more people present and a lot more opportunities for criminal activities. So those were our last 3 zones. Our current zone that we're deployed in right now surrounds the Atlantis. So obviously the Atlantis Casino is the hotspot there for calls for service. But we work in all those different areas around it. And is anybody not familiar with the overall program?
Maybe just summarize it for us.
Yeah, I can. So basically what it is we, not only within our department, but throughout the entire city of Reno, we bring resources together once a month to kind of have a meeting about, where we're going to work and what each individual unit can bring to the problems that we want to address. So whether it be K-9 or our sex trafficking unit or our gang unit or public works, whatever. And we all try to come up with goals as to how we're going to address it, all with the idea of, fixing or extinguishing or reducing the problems that we've identified. And we identify those zones through our crime analysis unit. They usually present 3 or 4 that they've identified through statistics and calls for service and all the stuff that they look at. And then we kind of decide where we're going to go in the city. So it's a enforcement strategy that brings everybody together to focus on one problem, depending on the problem in the area. Obviously, one specialty unit might have a bigger purpose in any given area than the other. But the idea is to have a program that we can pick up and move anywhere to the city as we have problems develop. CompStat's an example from years ago, hotspot policing. There's some differences in this, but those are some of the more historical policing models that you've seen. So it's basically kind of like problem-oriented policing. That's another term that you may have heard in the back or in the past. But it's basically not only using our own resources within PD, but also any other community or city resources that we might be able to incorporate into problem-solving efforts citywide. So. Traffic, always up on everybody's list of curiosity. So these are just for the last 3 months, so basically through the end of the year. 2,400 citations issued, approximately 800 collisions handled within the city, 13 what we call major injury collisions. Specifically, the chief, the downtown area was one of the prior deed zones. And during that, she directed traffic to do some specific downtown enforcement and citizen contacts. So there's 383 citizen contacts and 105 citations. They handled 7 special events, 7 dignitary visits with the election season. They were very busy with obviously everybody who came here speaking. And then grant wise, you can see up there, just a lot of hours worked. And to be clear, the hours worked for grant stuff is above and beyond their normal hours. So your normal officer works 80 hours a week. These are hours beyond those hours dedicated to enforcing traffic laws. So a lot of extra hours out there that our staff's putting in to address traffic issues. Coming up here tomorrow, actually, there'll be the second reading of 2 new Reno municipal codes. Basically, the first one, offenses against public peace, combines what are a lot of different municipal codes right now related to sitting, lying, sleeping, and camping. And it's going to combine them all into one. And it will apply citywide, whereas the stuff we have now is within a certain distance of the river or only in a specific geographical area downtown. And so I don't want to get into the weeds of the whole thing. I can certainly answer questions. But the language is basically a prohibition on that type of stuff citywide. And of course, there's exceptions for medical emergencies, people exercising their First Amendment rights, stuff like that. And then the second one relates to loitering. So as you all probably know, we've certainly had a problem in our city with the street racing, street takeover type stuff. And a lot of times what leads up to that is a gathering in some sort of public parking lot where everybody amasses before they kind of go out and do things. So with this law, private property owners would be able to basically in advance enter an agreement with the city that would allow us to enforce loitering on their private property. That agreement has to be renewed every year. But this will give us an extra tool to go out and prevent those large crowds from gathering in the first place, which will hopefully prevent, the street takeovers, stuff like that. That's probably the biggest use of this will be that. And then even within those gatherings, there's usually a lot of criminal activity that occurs as well, just while they're amassed in the parking lots. We've seen some pretty blatant stuff on video surveillance at times. So this will be helpful that we can prevent it before it even starts to become a problem. So that second reading, and this is all assuming that it passes the council's vote tomorrow. And then obviously it'll take us a few months to get this implemented. And that's what I've got. Any questions?
Yeah, Ilya Arberman for the record, and this has come up here before, and oftentimes I just appreciate the opportunity to actually talk to someone from RPD, and get different takes. And I don't remember who. It's a few months. It was a little while ago. I think it was maybe before the railroad ordinance passed. But I'm always curious as to different officers' takes on some of the offense against public peace or camping bans or, anti-homeless ordinances, as far as why or what your personal feelings are as to whether or not those are actually how those will work in a positive way, and where have we seen evidence of them working in a positive way?
So I don't want to speak too specifically to where they worked. I know in the staff report that was given to council, there were some examples. I have to thumb through them. However, I can tell you first and foremost, locally here, Sparks and County both have similar ordinances, and they do seem to work. The issue is the large encampments that develop and the dangers and kind of health hazards that come with larger encampments. As far as enforcement goes, it still requires a warning. So it's not like we can just come up and ticket you right away. We have to warn you, make sure you're aware of the law. Also give you an adequate amount of time to comply, meaning if you had an established camp, we could. I tend to shy away from calling them like homeless laws, only because you wouldn't want a bunch of college students probably camping out either. You know, in the quad up at the university, or just anybody camping anywhere in the city of Reno. So it doesn't necessarily apply to class or status in society. It's more just that the community seems to want, and again, this is why it's in council's hands to vote on, seems to want a tool to basically say, it's not just homeless. We're not okay with people just camping anywhere they want to in our community. We want to limit that by policy and law to specific places and designated rules and stuff like that. The other thing I will say, just there are a lot of resources available in the city now. And one of the things we deal with in law enforcement is that 64% of the people that we come into contact with and offer all the services that are available to, particularly the CARES campus, refuse them. And that kind of indicates that, at least to some degree, substance abuse, mental health problems and stuff like that aside, that they're making a choice to live publicly on the street. And so that's another factor, I think, that goes into our enforcement as well, and the community's feelings on it. So.
And Ilya Arman, for the record, a couple of things there, and I don't want to keep everyone here forever, but specifically, I guess my question, just to keep the discussion limited, you're saying when you say that they work, right? What do you define as working? As far as, does that mean fewer people on the street? Because we're not seeing that.
No, they work as far as being able to prevent the larger encampments. So I'll use camping along the river as an example. Do people still camp along the river? Yes. But we have an enforcement tool to be able to periodically, as resources allow,
So, yeah, but
address these different areas.
You're saying work, meaning we're just not having big tent cities pop up. That's kind of your rubric, your measurement for that.
That's part of it, yes.
Yeah, because partially what I'm asking is, from all the counts that I'm seeing, and I'm sure you're seeing the same things, statistically, the number of people living outside is only rising, right? So I'm a little confused as to why these ordinances, which don't seem to be mitigating the root issue, right? Why they seem to be the primary tool that the city and RPD is kind of putting forward, right? You're talking about services and things like that, but the denial, so when people don't use services, right, there's also the possibility that it's because there aren't actually services that are helping people get off the street fast enough. And the ordinances seem to potentially be actually making that problem worse rather than better. Because I'm just, if you can point to me to statistics that are saying that since the ordinances have been passed, there's fewer people living on the street, right? That would indicate that they're working, correct?
I can't point. I haven't looked into it, but I can't point to fewer people on the streets.
Right.
I can say that there will be, and many cities have experienced fewer people camping on the streets.
After the passing of these ordinances?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, if I would love for RPD to present that, or the staff to present that. I don't think anyone, including council, has seen anything like that.
Okay.
As far as cities nationwide seem to be having an increase in people.
And I would say to be clear, these are two additional tools of hundreds that are available in this community. I don't think our intent is to solve homelessness with the passing of two ordinances by any stretch of the imagination, if that helps clarify. I mean, I don't think that the effort here is to pretend that we're going to solve homelessness by passing no camping and no loitering laws. But I do think we will see a reduction in large encampments, which lead to criminal acts, certainly lots of crimes against people, and also health hazards, large fires, and then just the health hazards that come with living in unsanitary conditions as a group of human beings. So
Okay, like I said, I don't want to get your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jarrett Singh for the record, because I've also seen some of these ordinances being popped up, and I know one of the main issues is just resources in general. How do you feel that RPD is set up to actually police or handle an ordinance like this? Do you feel like y'all are staffed effectively to actually manage
I think
this
it's just another
situation?
tool that becomes available for us. I mean, since I've worked here and
Mhm.
I started in 2005, we've always had no sitting lying on sidewalks downtown. We've always, well, haven't always, but I'd say for the better part of a decade now, had camping along the river, being prohibited. And we use them. Is there gonna be a team of officers deployed whose whole purpose is to go enforce this? Absolutely not.
Mhm.
We don't have those kind of resources, nor do I think we would utilize our resources that way.
Yeah.
It's just another tool, similar to, I'm sure people had conversations like this back in the 70s over drinking and driving. And no one would sit here and try to argue that it's okay in 2025. So, I mean, it's changed, but this is just another tool to bring to bear on a much larger problem.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anybody's intent that, this will completely solve the problem, nor is it our intent to go out and just have some team that, is out there enforcing this. And that's their whole job, 80 hours, every 2 weeks.
So, and I guess part of my question was like the staffing, like resource wise, like if it's even this ordinance aside, if you were to identify a gap that you think is within your all's department when it comes to managing homelessness or whatever that may be on the streets, what do you think could be a gap within RPD, or do you not see any gaps within the police department?
As far as resources we could use?
Yeah, like what if you could have a wand that fixes something that you guys have an issue with homelessness, like what do you think could help you all tremendously as a department?
Me personally, Mike Browett, I think statewide and nationwide, better mental health care.
Yeah.
Which has nothing necessarily to do with the police department.
No,
but,
that's like kind of the root
in
of the
communities,
question,
I mean,
yeah.
that really is the root of a lot
Yeah.
of these problems is mental health issues that lead to substance abuse issues that lead
Yeah.
to, a decline in your ability to hold a job, have housing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And once that cycle's taken full effect, it's obviously, as we know, very hard to break.
I feel you. Yeah,
So-
that's
I mean, I would
Yeah.
love as many mental health professionals out there working as there are cops.
kind of how I've seen it as well too.
Yeah.
I live up by Valley and Hood, so like coming through that area, it's just you always see folks on the streets and dealing with substance abuse in my own family and stuff like that. It just seems like that could be something that could definitely help.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I mean, there are some resources available and we always try to direct to that. But like I said, that one statistic stuck out to me that, I mean, even though there are resources available, 64% literally tell us I'm fine, which I understand there's 100 reasons why they say that and the avoidance behind that. But it's that having the resources isn't the only solution. When someone's not willing to accept the resources, we have to have other tools. And I think that's part of this. It's not a once and done solution to the whole problem by any stretch.
Yeah, thank you.
And Ilya Arman, just a follow-up question to that, is seeing what you're saying about mental health care and things like that, you're definitely not the first police officer that I've heard talk about that. Internally, is RPD doing any lobbying of the city or the county to actually realize that goal? Like, is there an actual are those conversations happening where you guys are saying, hey, what we could really use is better places for people to go who have mental health issues? Like as a department, is there active lobbying going on to realize that?
I don't know about like with our legislature at the state level, but I mean, I can tell you internally just for our department, I mean, we have clinical social workers in the field, I'd say 16 out of the 24 hours a day now, roughly 7 days a week, except for time off and stuff. I mean, there's only 4 of them. That's been huge. And would anybody you asked at the police department want more of them? 100%. I just last night heard an officer, I wish there was a most officer is what we call them, mobile outreach safety team. And it's a huge resource to be able to have someone with mental health skills actually there at the moment, something's going on. it's a huge house. So I know internally, when it comes to resourcing and budget and personnel, that's a wish and a want. Beyond that, I can't speak at the higher level. That's not part of my position to have state level conversations or anything, so I'm not sure.
And Jarrett Singh, for the record, I do think there's value in that if you're seeing it across your department and with other colleagues and people that you're working with. I mean, if I have something in my workplace that I feel is unhealthy or not working out right, then I'm gonna talk to other people. Oh, hey, I have the same issue. You know, we start collecting that information and presenting it in a way that can hopefully get us at least somewhere to that outcome. So just as a tool of empowerment in a way, you know, if that's something you all are having those conversations with, like I, as a citizen of the city, would love to see you all coming together to talk about that within council and whatnot as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can take that back.
Yeah, thank you though.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else?
Marie Rodriguez for the record. I just wanted to thank you for the presentation, and I appreciate you sharing the information about deeds, because I do like the changes that I'm seeing in the police department becoming more active, proactive in these areas. I know that local businesses have appreciated the more visibility and the added contact with the businesses. So I just wanted to say kudos to that, because I know that the department is working really hard to make that better connection and be more proactive. So thanks.
Yeah, no, it's good, and it'll, you know, get better as we bring on the new officers and stuff. You know, having time in any given shift versus balancing calls for service to do that type of stuff is a huge balance for us. And I can tell you that if you asked any police officer if they would rather go to a call for service or do proactive, you know, detect, find bad guys, interact with the community, they will want to do the proactive stuff far more. So it's nice that there's the opportunity to do it. And then hopefully as our staffing continues to inch up, we'll just have more time to continue all those efforts. So I appreciate it.
And then Iliarman, not a question, but just a final comment. Actually, is RPD aware of the winter warming center that's been set up downtown?
I actually, are you talking about the ones at the different churches?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually ran into a young lady last night that gave me several flyers. And I don't know that we were aware, but
Yeah, and
my
that's,
shift is
it's 9 PM to 6.
because it's every day, 9 to 6. It
Yeah,
looked
and
like
right now it's
well
at the,
into March. So
yeah, right now it's at the Lutheran Church of the Good Shepherd.
yeah,
And there's no, it's for women and families specifically, but yeah, if RPD is running into people at night, and that's a good thing to point them to.
yeah. No, I still have. I told my shift about it today. I still have 2 of her flyers, so I'll make sure our whole department knows, because yeah, that's another nice resource.
All right, thanks very much.
Yep. You're welcome.
Okay, moving to B2, NAB, onboarding by staff. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I am Jenica Finnegan, Council Relations Manager for the record. Last time you all saw me, I was here to talk to you about the updated NAB resolution, which was passed by council back in September. So I'm just here to do a bit of a reset and refresh on some of the NAB rules and guiding principles. So when we talk about scope of the NABs, sorry, Abby, you can go, or is it me? Do I go? Okay, scope. So NABs are really an opportunity for members of the body to learn about City of Reno ongoings and give feedback on city issues. Obviously, you hear a review of physical development projects, not to replace the Planning Commission, but to also solicit feedback from you all and the community to provide to the planning commissioners when they make those decisions. The NABs are guided by resolution number 9317. So that is the most recently updated NAB resolution. You will have a copy of that. I should let you know that I'm following mostly the structure of your nifty new neighborhood advisory onboarding program member handbook that you had in your welcome bag. So if you wanted to follow along there, you're welcome to. So the next one is Code of Ethics for Public Officials. As you know, this is guided by Reno Municipal Code 2.20. It is the responsibility of all NAB members to be familiar with this. As you'll see in the handbook, we have taken pieces of it. So I just wanted to disclose this is not the entire RMC as it pertains to public officials and ethics. Really, I just want to highlight that if it feels one that I wanted to highlight is improper benefits. So if someone is asking you to say certain things or vote certain ways, that would be an example. If they're giving you gifts, that feels not right. That would be an example of an ethics violation. So we want to make sure that you're familiar with those codes and you can review them. Main ones in your handbook, as well as the link on the website is there available for you as well. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to us and we can work together to see if there are any next steps or if you need to recuse yourself for any votes on this body. Open meeting law, it is the intent of the law that their actions, your actions, be taken openly and that their deliberations be conducted openly. So really the NABs, as you know, you're familiar with a quorum. As Ms. Mayorga recognized, you'll have some appointments potentially tomorrow during the Reno City Council. So you might have some new board members and colleagues with this added to this body. So simple majority depends on the number of members. So that's likely to change in the next day or so. Also, this is a public meeting. So we have certain agenda posting guidelines that we need to follow in accordance to open meeting law. So agenda postings, these are just things that we want you to be aware of that you can expect from your staff liaison. You are lucky to have a remarkable staff liaison in Ms. Mayorga, and she is very on top of it and communicative. She will always be sending out the Outlook calendar invite that will have the Zoom information. And if there are any changes in location or time, that will be reflected in those calendar invites. You also will receive an e-newsletter to notice you that there is an upcoming meeting of the Neighborhood Advisory Board for Ward 3. The agenda and presentation materials, sometimes we receive those from the developers the day of, and so those are sent to you as soon as she has those available via email. We also really appreciate quorum checks to make sure that we are able to host the meeting and we have a quorum of the body to move forward. So we really appreciate your responsiveness to those when she reaches out to confirm that the day of or the preceding days. Additionally, she will always be printing the agenda and presentation materials for you to have at the meeting itself. So you'll have hard copies of those as well. She also includes those in her post follow-up email to you as well. So you'll have a digital version also. And then of course, if there is a cancellation due to lack of quorum or for some other reason, she will be sure to notify you all via email, and the calendar invite will be canceled as well. So I just wanted to review some of the responsibilities of the members of the board and public. As we go through, I'll start over on the left-hand side with the chair and vice chair. You'll be voting on that in a later agenda item today. So that is an appointment that will be made for a year at your first regularly scheduled meeting of the year. So that is today. It is the responsibility of the chair to lead and maintain the meeting order, right? Following the decorum and managing the board member discussion, as well as managing the public participation. We also want to encourage not only the chair, you'll see this in all three categories here, for you all to complete development services comment and review form if you want to give specific feedback for any development projects. There's a link in that in your handbook. I'll also make sure that Ms. Mayorga sends that out in her follow-up email after this meeting. Members of the Neighborhood Advisory Board, again, we really appreciate your responsiveness to quorum checks to ensure that we're able to host a meeting. Typically, there will be 2 rounds of discussions at 2 minutes each for the members. That is something that the chair or vice chair, in lieu of the chair, would be managing for questions for developers or any presenters. We really encourage the body to think about and consider future agenda items that they might like to hear. I would give the caveat that staff time is limited, and so requests for staff to attend or present will be going through the city manager, just so we can ensure that there is equitable representation of staff at all of the NABs and pending staff availability and time restraints. Additionally, we encourage the NAB members to participate in relevant regional meetings. So there are other agencies that we work with closely, for example, RTC or RSCVA. And some of these other boards and commissions are really valuable, especially if there are significant projects in your ward or of regional significance. So there is a lot of information available that, presenters may not always be able to come to the NAB, but we encourage the NAB to go out and participate in some of those other meetings. Again, you'll see the development services comment and review form, like I already mentioned. For the public, this is a wonderful opportunity for the public to give feedback and to discuss items that are of concern, to share those with you. So you as advisors to your council members can voice those concerns as well. So we have public comment cards. We ask that everyone is loud and clear. This chambers, some of the NABs are hosted at other locations and not just chambers. And here we're lucky to have great audio and video technology capabilities. So that isn't so much of a concern here. Those public comments are limited to 3 minutes, and Ms. Mayorga is very consistent in reading that disclosure for those. And again, the development services comment and review form. Council liaisons. So council liaisons really are here to listen to you all. They have the opportunity to give an optional council liaison report at the beginning of these meetings, where they can give you up-to-date information on things that they want you to be aware of that are going on citywide or ward specific. And then in the Reno City Council meetings twice monthly, there is an item H1, City Council comments, where they are able to give updates on the boards and commissions that they sit on as either a council liaison or voting member. And so if there are any items that you want to be heard at a broader audience, that's a great opportunity for Councilmember Martinez to be able to share your comments and remarks. Staff liaison, again, you have the wonderful Ms. Mayorga. So she is responsible for posting the agenda in accordance to open meeting law and 3 business days in advance of your meeting. She reads your public comment disclosures, and she will also have your public comment timers, which are up here in council chambers for you all to be able to see how much time you have left. She will also do notifications of any changes on the agendas. And in an effort, that last one there, the staff liaison report, in an effort to make sure that there's consistency across all of the neighborhood advisory boards, I've asked the staff liaisons to create a template where they can give information that is consistent across all boards. So that's where you heard about the Martin Luther King Interfaith event and your senior games, as well as using Reno Direct. We want to continuously remind the public that the Reno Direct is a wonderful resource where you can report any concerns that you're having so that they can be routed appropriately to staff. Okay, and then staff liaison 2. We have Ms. AJ Abby Abigail here. She is a council relations intern, and so she assists Abby with technology management, collecting those public comment cards and bringing to our awareness any raised hands on Zooms and making sure that our minute taker has great audio and video in order to capture the meeting minutes. We function through Robert's Rules of Order. So this is our parliamentary procedure. This board has done a wonderful job at making sure that you are stating your name for the record. So we really appreciate that. We are having some changes in minute takers. And so as they get used to the new boards, we'll be reminding our neighborhood advisory board members to make sure that you state your name for the record, especially when you move or second and before your public comment or before your discussion items, as well as reminding our public commenters. Appointment and resignation protocol. So this again also is outlined in your handbook. You serve on 2-year terms and can serve 2 consecutive terms. A reappointment process is required. So after that first term, should you like to apply again, you would need to submit an application anew, and then it would go to the Reno City Council for them to vote on. If you serve 2 consecutive terms, so 4 years total back to back, there is a 1-year cooling off period. And then, as I mentioned before, the chair and vice chair serve a 1-year term. We do ask that you submit a formal resignation notice if you would like to no longer be part of the body, and you can submit that to nabs@reno.gov. We have a template in your handbook, just so you're able to see. We want to make sure that the city clerk is able to lodge that into the record and update the rosters appropriately. Development information, everyone's favorite. So you all as Neighborhood Advisory Board members receive a postcard for all development projects that are happening in Ward 3. And so not only just for your specific address. We also really encourage you to sign up for newsletters from Development Services. So that would be if you go to the website, and Abby can include this in the follow-up information, there's a plethora of newsletters that you can sign up for to stay in tune with the goings-ons of the city, and the Development Services does a great job of putting out the information of when projects are coming to the Planning Commission and Neighborhood Advisory Boards. That Development Services comment and review form, I know that I'm promoting that quite a bit tonight. I just want to make sure that there is an opportunity to give specific feedback. This form is really helpful because it asks specific information about the project. And we have a planner at all of the neighborhood advisory boards where there are development projects. And so it gives them a better idea of some of your concerns and thoughts or creative ideas for those projects. There's also an opportunity for you to submit Planning Commission public comment. You can come in person, submit those via email or online. And then we would also encourage you, again, if you sign up for the newsletters, you'll be in tune with Planning Commission schedules and when those meetings are happening. Okay, upcoming items and updates. As I mentioned, you'll be selecting your chair and vice chair appointment later today. The office of the city clerk will also be doing a training. We like to do this at least annually from the city clerk to go over some more of those Robert rules and open meeting law pieces. She'll go a little bit more in depth on those. The staff liaison report standardization, I mentioned that to ensure consistency across all the neighborhood advisory boards, and they're all getting great updates in the same way. Planning presentations, we've worked really closely with the planning department to ask developers to include some specific information in their presentations. So we're starting to see those come through. They're including the date of the planning commission that the item will move forward. They're including the name of the planner associated with the case. The planner who comes to the neighborhood advisory board isn't always the planner associated with the specific project. And so sometimes that's helpful if you have specific questions that you would like to reach out to that planner for. This body does have a number of NAB vacancies. As we mentioned, you should be seeing some appointments tomorrow. And then if you have any friends or folks that you think might be interested, we would encourage you to spread the word to come join the NAB. We talked about newsletters, fire presentations, and police presentations. We'll continue to see those periodically throughout the year. And police, we've been also working with RPD to revamp that presentation to give you some more updates, like Lieutenant Brown did on some of the ordinance coming forward. And that is all I have for you. So with that, I'll open it up for questions or comments. Okay, I'm excited for you all to have some new friends on the body. And so we'll also be doing this onboarding individually with any new board members. And so everyone is on the same page, following the same rules and practices. So I appreciate your time tonight.
Actually, Ilya Artman, for the record, seeing as we're moving into B3 and B4, how do we do it? The selection of the board chair and vice chair, maybe Abby will answer. Yeah.
Ms. Mayorga can
Thank you.
manage that process.
Yeah, I would go
Absolutely.
for the record. Yeah, so we'll move on to item B3. So we will just ask for a recommendation. So the chair would be like, I recommend, because you're the chair.
Okay,
I know it's a
gotcha.
little odd. It's also, we could also, I know we're talking about your new potential members. If you guys want to continue the item, it wouldn't be a bad idea to
Right.
have them come and,
Mhm.
hopefully. But it's up to you guys. So we can continue the item till next meeting when you guys have a fuller body, if you're comfortable with that, or we can do appointments now. Obviously it's one of you three, so.
Yeah, so yeah, Ilya Artman, for the record. I mean, yeah, probably it seems like it should be us. And, personally, I feel like I'm sort of ready to pass the torch here. So,
Oh.
I feel like personally, I'd like to nominate Marie here
Perfect. All right, we're
for
into B3. So
chair.
if that's a nomination for Marie Rodriguez to be the Ward 3 Neighborhood Advisory Board Chair for 2025, can I get a second?
Chair Singh, for the record, I'd like to make a motion to second.
Perfect. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None opposed? Motion passes.
Congratulations, Marie. Yeah.
Were you opposed,
Damn it.
Marie?
Are you
I mean, you could oppose.
And then, yeah, to be fair, I mean, you know, I think we've kind of, I don't know that we've had a vice chair. I guess we haven't had a vice chair for a while.
We have it, Mr.
Right.
Chair, but we're just doing it to be, if Marie's never here for whatever reason, we just
Yeah.
want to make sure that we have an identified individual who's willing to step in and ready to do so. So we're not doing
Okay.
it last minute and they're prepared. So ultimately, that's the reasoning behind
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I mean, once again, in the interest of passing the, you know, the torch, Jared, unless you're opposed, you know, I'd like to nominate Jared Singh for vice chair.
I would like to say yes, but I can't guarantee I'll be in Reno for the next 6 months.
Okay.
Okay,
We've had talks about moving, so
thank you for.
there's a
your-
chance
yeah,
that I could, yeah.
So we
um,
can continue this item,
Yeah,
Mr.
maybe,
Chair.
yeah, let's continue that one to the next
Okay.
meeting. We'll see kind of what happens and who shows up. So, you know, in the interim, I don't know how it works. We just don't have a vice chair in the interim. Is
Yeah,
that how it
that's
works?
totally
Okay.
fine.
I would say like just as an idea, we have new members coming. Do you know how many new members we have?
I think there's 4 potential nominations and appointments. I know one of them is Gabriel. So, and you know, so
Okay.
his membership just accidentally lapsed in that time. So,
And Jared Singh, for the record, I think it could be beneficial to wait a few months. Maybe
yeah.
if we make a note to revisit in like March, just
Yeah.
give us a couple cycles to see who's around, what people look like and stuff.
Totally
I would
fine.
love to be able to take that, but I just wouldn't be able to accept like the responsibility. right
Perfect.
now.
No, I totally understand. Okay, so we'll move to continue item B4. So if I can get a motion?
Yeah, motion to continue before to March's meeting.
Correct.
I would second that.
And then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. We'll continue item B4 to March.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll move into, we got 3 things. So
Yes. And Mr. Chair, I do
Yes.
see a
there a
individual on
comment?
Zoom that has their hand raised. So I do want to
Sure,
acknowledge
yeah.
Valerie. I know Valerie is actually up to be appointed tomorrow as well to the Ward 3 NAB. So give me 1 second,
Sure.
Valerie. I am giving you the permission to unmute. You should be able to unmute now. Hello.
I'm not sure how this works on my phone, but.
All right.
I totally agree with what you submitted.
Hey, he got hurt, man.
There, on the way. for the permit.
Fucking risk. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll try again later.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll try again later. Sorry, Valerie, we weren't able to understand you. You're also able to chat me if that is easier. So. Give me 1 second. Sounds like you had some feedback, so I'll just wait for you to chat me back. All right, Mr. Chair, we'll
Okay, should
continue
we move
on.
on? Okay, great. All right. Well, yeah, we'll check in with Valerie later and we'll see. Should we move on to C1, Cornelius fence height deviation?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Is that presenter here?
The presenter should be here. Let me pull this up. I think it's Mr. Paul. I'm assuming it's you based on the last name, so I'm going to allow you to speak. I'll probably promote you to panelist here. All right, Paul, you should be able to unmute yourself. Or is there anyone else on Zoom? Is there anyone in person for Cornelius?
Yes,
Fence deviation?
yes, Paul and Leslie are present.
Oh, hi,
And we
Paul.
believe-
How are ya?
Good, and you?
Good, good. Okay, I'm sharing your application that you shared with me with the board and the drawing. Can you see?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect.
This is,
The floor is yours.
hi, this is Leslie, Paul's wife. We also believe Jason from JP Fence should be available to answer questions.
Oh, yes.
Our
Let me
contractor.
promote him to panelist real quick. I see him. All right, Jason, you should be able to unmute yourself as well.
Okay, I'm here.
All right, Jason. Yeah, you guys have the floor. Feel free to let me know which slide to go on next or yes. If you guys could just give us a summary of what you're looking to apply for, what your
Okay.
guys' application was, that would be great.
Okay, we moved into our house the end of September, beginning of October. And what we're trying to do is replace our side fence along Rose Hill Court, which was a 6-foot fence, in very poor condition. We are asking to not have a setback. I believe that's the proper term. Many houses in our neighborhood don't have the setback. It's on the side street, and the house across from us on the same side street runs up that same street without a setback. Jason, is that, can you please add?
That's exactly what they're looking to do. Take away the 5-foot setback, move the fence right out to the sidewalk. We've noticed that the neighbor across the street had just recently done the same thing.
And so Ilya Arman, for the record, is the issue the setback or the fence height? Because on the agenda, it says the fence height is the issue.
So the setback has to be 5 feet off the sidewalk for a 6-foot fence, or 2 feet back for a 4-foot fence, or on the sidewalk. So we're asking to completely eliminate the setback and the height, so we can take the 6-foot right to the sidewalk.
I see.
It doesn't block any, it's not gonna block any intersection visibility. And it will actually, the Corneliuses will now have to manage or maintain that piece of land for, that wasn't landscaped or managed prior to that. So it was just open area that weeds and everything else would grow into.
Maybe the map will help. Will the map help you guys a little bit?
Marie Rodriguez for the record. If I'm not mistaken, you are in the neighborhood that is across from the shopping center where the Rayleighs is that correct?
No, that's incorrect. We are actually on the east side of Veterans on Mariloma.
Is it the one right here on the map? Can you guys see the map?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
That is it.
And so coming out of that neighborhood onto Mira Loma without that setback, can people coming out of that area see both directions easily without a setback then?
Yes, they can.
Because that's my concern, is the visibility, and I would imagine that might have been the original reason for the setback. So, there's no curve in the road or anything like that?
It's a stop sign.
It's a stop sign?
Yes, it is a stop sign on Rose Hill Court to Mariloma.
And then Mira Loma doesn't have a stop sign. That's just, they have no, there's no traffic control for the Mira Loma traffic.
No, it's right away.
Okay.
Yeah, just Ilya Arman, for the record. I'm just, certainly no expert in any of these things. I'm just not sure why, and maybe I'm just missing it. The agendized item says a major deviation to increase maximum fence height in a front yard from 4 feet to 6 feet. That sounds like you guys are talking about shifting where the fence is in the first place. I don't know if the planning commission will have an issue with that, because that's not what's on our agenda here.
And Jarrett Singh, for the record, when I'm reading the actual application itself, they do have it. It's accurate on here.
Okay, so
yeah.
maybe that's just
So
our
it'd be all
agenda.
good on that
Gotcha.
part.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and Jarrett Singh, for the record, Just knowing I did some walking in that neighborhood during the election cycles and there was some problems with visibility on the corners of the roads, like especially Miraloma being pretty busy. Keeping it into the back, I think that's a great idea, but it's your house. I can't tell you what to do or what not to do with your house, but just to be considerate, I guess, of the visibility, like Maria had said.
Definitely, we do agree with that. As you can see from this picture, and this picture is actually an older picture, that on the outside of the fence now, it wasn't maintained. It's dirt, it's rocks, it's trash. It would look a lot better with a nice fence. And many of our neighbors have come by and supported us on this.
And we've got a signature from one of the neighbors, the house that's to the just south of us to the and east. He's given us a letter saying he wants that fence in there because it actually will match across the street and it will look a lot better for his neighborhood and everything else. And he doesn't see any problems with it.
And other neighbors have said they would sign a letter for us. We just didn't know if it would make a difference and if we could send it to somebody.
Yeah, and Jarrett Singh, for the record, I definitely think getting the signatures definitely helps. I think you all are doing the right track to make sure that gets in front of the right people.
Okay, thank you.
Maria Rodriguez, for the record, I actually have a follow-up question. So in looking at the image that's in front of us, your house is the one on the left-hand side?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
The mouse is at over the top of that. Yes.
And that fence that you want to push out the 5 feet so that it looks to me from here that it does not go all the way up to the corner. Would you be extending it all the way up to the corner? Or would it be
No.
stopping by where that little building is in that corner?
We're just moving it just a little bit farther forward of that by about a few feet, but we're not into that corner whatsoever.
Okay, so about how many feet would you say would not be fenced from your property up to Miraloma? How many feet would people have that where the fence would not?
Between 20 and
Obstruct
30
their
feet
visibility.
between Miraloma and the fence.
No, I'm saying from where the fence ends up to Miraloma,
30 feet.
that distance right there, how many feet would you say that is?
Between 20 and 30 feet.
20 and 30 feet? Okay. Thank you for that clarification. I was under the impression that it was going to go all the way up to the corner, like to the sidewalk.
When
So
we,
that clarification helps.
Yeah.
when we read it, that's what it sounded like to us too, but that's not true.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move into C2, conditional use for rocket batteries.
Hi. My name's Doug. I'm the Director of Operations for Rocket Battery. We're a lead acid battery distributor here in Reno. We occupy 2675 Mill Street. It's a warehouse that was built back in the 70s for mixed use warehouse, basically zoning. Over the years, that's changed. And it's urban mixed use, I believe, at this point. What we're looking is to put it back to be able to operate a warehouse out of that mixed use parcel. This is an overview of our warehouse. You can see warehousing neighbors on either side of us and even further down the street and across the street as well on both sides. So we're not looking to do anything different from that perspective of what the building was initially built to do. This is a view of basically the dock to the street, and
just noting that it's 96 feet from the dock doors to the street. Just to trucks coming in and out would not affect traffic in any way, just with the great length that's there. And the next slide, please. And right here is a diagram of how trucks pull in and out of our space without disrupting traffic flow at all. And anything that potentially would be oversized, which we've never had up to this point so far since we've been conducting business. We have plenty of room on the, in between the buildings in our alleyway to work with at all. And that is it.
So Ilya Arbman, for the record, just for our clarity here, what activities or what sorts of things have you not been able to do, or construction that the CUP would allow you to do?
Attain our business license.
Oh, I see. So you're not functional yet.
No, we've been working, but the city's been kind of granting us a little bit of leniency as we work through this. We've applied for a license. We moved in April. We unfortunately had an employee who was not the best standing citizen. That was working on getting the business license and fell short of a 12-month grandfather period. So now in order to utilize the space for what we're intending to use it for and what we've leased it for, we need to apply for this CUP.
And who was in the warehouse before?
Golden State Express was a logistics company, warehouse logistics.
Mhm. And then as far as the neighboring warehouses, you're saying, who are your neighbors?
So our neighbors are there's a shoe manufacturer distributor. There's Inland Supply, which is a warehouse for chemicals for cleaning supplies. There is a generator storage and distribution company and a UTV mechanic sales storage shop.
And so, sorry, just to clarify, Ilya Arbman, for the record, you were supposed to do the CUP with the business license, or you just had a window where because of the previous business, you didn't have to do it until.
Correct.
Okay, I see.
That's exactly what it is.
And so now you're kind of catching up, basically.
Mhm.
And is there any reason, what would be a reason to deny it, as far as you know?
Just the potential of, people say warehousing, distribution, it's classified, it could be disruptive to traffic with trucks, personnel. We're a very small operation. It's just the three of us. And we have maybe one truck a week that we're operating with. We're a very small warehouse.
And currently, without getting the CUP, you're saying technically the truck, it wouldn't be allowed to pull in there at all? Or what would be
No,
not allowed?
with the CUP, we just wouldn't be able to attain a business
I see,
license.
okay.
That's really all it
That's
is.
all it is,
It's just
gotcha.
it's changed from mixed use to urban mixed use. And so we're just the only reason we're talking about traffic and trucks is just because it kind of correlates with warehouse distribution. We want to nip any concerns of that in the bud before anything comes of it.
And is that your hunch, or have you done any research? Is that why the use was changed in the first place? You're saying it was once commercial, then became mixed urban?
I don't know when. It was a number of years ago that the city changed the zoning, far before we even were here. So I don't know why initially it was changed back.
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
just when, obviously we're not making the decision here,
Yeah.
but as far as from my perspective, a suggestion would be to maybe figure that out, because I think that depending on what that is, that might be a relevant point of discussion here. Obviously traffic being the other one, but that to me seems, I'd be curious as to why. I've always thought that was kind of a commercial area, so.
Me too. I mean, it could be just that the city wants to push warehousing out east, right, to Sparks and get it out of Reno potentially, but I don't know.
Rory Rodriguez for the record. I'm looking at this map and I'm a little confused. Are you on the northeast corner of Mill and Terminal or northwest?
Northwest.
Northwest, okay. And the front door to your warehouse is on Terminal or Mill?
It's on Mill. It's right where that white truck is at.
Okay, because it looks like they have Mill Street missed labeled on here. Because it looks like Mill is to the east of your warehouse on that
That's,
little image.
they
Yeah.
may, I mean, it is the Washoe County's
Okay.
website, so it's off the assessor's website.
So you'd be expecting one truck a week?
That's, yeah.
Okay. 53-foot trailer,
No, they're 20-foot containers.
20-foot container? Okay, with just a day cab?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm familiar with that. I drive by there every day on my way to work.
Sure.
And I have seen issues with 53-foot trailers, which is why I'm asking. Not that I really care.
Mhm.
I used to be a truck driver.
Sure.
But, so do you only have one loading dock then?
There's two, but there's really only one utilized a week typically. It's not-
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it is a shorter, box then that would be
It's a-
delivering.
They're 20-foot containers that everything ships on.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just want clarification to location and the size of the box. So thank you.
And Ellie Arman for the record, Marie, I think it's like that because that means that it's turning onto Mill Street. I think it's referring to the turn.
Because I'm looking at the picture and I'm like,
I think
maybe
it's
not.
I think it's the turn, yeah.
Cool. Good. Thanks.
Okay, we will move into our final development project here, C3 for NDI.
Hello. I'm Neil Dement, owner of NDI Plumbing. Recently bought the building. We've moved into the building on Vassar Street. Mainly everything around me is general commercial. All I'm trying to do is make sure that I am compliant with my business, a good neighbor, and add improvements to the neighborhood. I've got some nice businesses around me, and it looks like, or I understand that there may possibly be a major remodel done to the post office across the street. And basically, I just want to be a good neighbor, introduce myself, stay compliant, and improve the neighborhood, add value.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you state your name for the record? I don't know.
Neil Dement.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm on like a little island of my own. Everything around me is, and there's some other changes that are being, asking for the same thing I am. So it almost seems like it's just what the neighborhood's doing.
Jarrett Singh for the record. So you all are looking to move from neighborhood commercial to general commercial, correct? That's what
Correct,
you're
yeah.
looking at.
And even the apartments behind me are general commercial, so it's kind of odd that I'm not.
Yeah, I think some of these zoning things had occurred when they did some of the master planning in 2017, where they changed things up just to add more availability for the potential of homes. What would be the difference between the neighborhood commercial and general commercial that, like, what are you not able to do with your current zoning designation?
I think that I am restricted to, storing material, pipe and things like that. It's not major, but I run a service company. We do new construction, commercial work, not homes or anything like that. So, basically, I just want to stay compliant. I want to be a good neighbor. I
Mhm.
want to, everything I do, I just want to improve on the neighborhood, add value, make it a cleaner, to me, the neighborhood needs a little improving, and I want to be able to add that.
Yeah, I would say for the next step, once this moves into council, like having a bullet or two identified on like what that would look like for yourselves, like something to give some representation of like how the zoning change affects your business in a positive way to contribute to the economy and whatnot. And then also as far as like what you want to do for.
And
For the
to
community,
answer that, it would allow me to build a nice, maybe steel building back there.
Yeah.
There where we can store some material, keep it out of the view of the street.
Yeah.
Fabricate, a section of pipe to send out to the job site where it's not, out in the open, it's quiet, it's concealed, it's secure for one. And also, everything around me, there's just some really nice, beautiful businesses. And so my intent is to upgrade this piece of property up to the standards that are there, which was built in 2004, so it needs that
Mhm.
facelift, and it needs that piece of dirt lot right there needs something on it. It will improve the whole neighborhood by not looking like I hate to say it, but there's a lot of homeless people that are staying on that empty lot.
Yeah.
And they come through my lot, and I get shopping carts and things like that. So it would allow me to keep things secure. It would allow me to do my business and be compliant and be a good neighbor.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, that would be my recommendation to add into this proposal is
Okay.
a bit of brief on like that part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marie Rodriguez for the record, and not to pry too much, but I love the question that you asked. Would making these improvements with the zoning change bring down any possible, I don't know if you've been a victim of crime because of the situation, or would it maybe discourage it from possibly happening?
I've only owned the building since July, and since I've owned it, the building has been tagged.
Mhm.
Luckily, there's a security officer that has been hired by the post office to sit there at night or to watch the post office at night because it's a 24-hour post office. I'm not sure what they're trying to watch for, crime or whatever it is, but yeah, the front door was broken into since I've owned the place. There are constantly homeless people coming through the back. I don't know if they're going to the apartment complex or to some of the housing around that area, but they seem to frequent it a lot. And the empty lot has created, I've spoken to the owner of Air Automotive, and the empty lot, him and I, we're getting together to try to keep they bring a lot of garbage and start fires back there. And so we want to be as good neighbors. We want to help. We don't want to hurt anybody. We want to help keep it clean and safe. And unfortunately, the neighborhood is a little bit, some of it is a little bit rough. There's people, showed up on Sunday, and there was a guy laying on my asphalt in my parking lot with his bag, and he was sleeping face down. And I asked him if I could take him to help him with a shelter or something, because, it's raining out. The guy's laying there, and he's, it's just sad. So, I feel like anything I do will improve on that. The neighborhood needs some improvement. It's not a bad neighborhood. I love the location. But my business has been around for 20 years. I'm gonna be a staple of this town, just like Savage and Son, if you're familiar. They've been the oldest license in Nevada. I'm a hometown guy. My daughter's taking over my business. We're not going anywhere. All we want to do is improve on the place. We want to help improve on the neighborhood. Air Automotive is a beautiful business. The Social Security office is next to me. They have a very, very nice facility. From what I understand, they're gonna spend a lot of money on the post office across the street. It's gonna be a very nice facility, and I think it just adds to the community. It really does.
And Elliot Arborman, for the record, just, to return to some more of the specifics, is the neighborhood commercial designation that disallows you from, say, building a shed on that property?
Well, it has a restriction of doing any storing of pipe and material.
I see. Uh-huh.
It has a restriction of doing any, building stuff on site and sending it out to the job site. We don't get a lot of delivery truck stuff, and when we do, it's just like a driving box truck, like a U-Haul, like big U-Haul truck. So we don't have a lot of deliveries. It's mostly like Western Nevada Supply, but we would like to be able to put a warehouse back there that we can, store some material in, and safety wise, I can't do that now. I can't even, they've been tagged. What we deal with are commodities of copper and expensive tools. The tenant I had said, don't park your vehicles here because don't park them outside. They would park their trucks inside because they had catalytic converters stolen off their trucks. So, for safety wise, I really need to be able to, operate. I'm not trying to diminish or do anything. I do everything by the book. There's no criminal, anything that I'm transparent, and that's why I'm here, to be transparent.
And Elliot Arborman, for the record, you're saying those apartments are already zoned neighborhood commercial, so.
No, they're general.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
they're
I'm
zone
an
general
island. I'm the
commercial.
whole, I'm like an island of my own right there.
Interesting. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't make sense. Like the whole thing around me is what I'm trying to, improve and be a part of,
Hmm.
add to, I guess. Maybe that's a better term.
Yeah, and then Jarrett Singh for the record, definitely sounds like you have the right intent and the right purpose and everything, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to item D here. Board announcements, and Ilya Arberman, for the record, I will just, same thing that I mentioned to the RPD officer earlier, just, yeah, for just people to know, yeah, that there is through March, there is a warming center that is being run by local churches in town. So if people see anyone, after 9 p.m., it's open to women and families, and it's free, and it's very low barrier. So if you see someone sleeping outside, you can refer them. It's a rotating list of churches, so it's not going to be the same church. This week it's Lutheran Church of the Good Shepherd, but if anyone's interested in volunteering, also, they're always looking for overnight volunteers, and the email address for that is goodneighborsreno@gmail.com. The shifts are just 3-hour shifts overnight, but it's nice to split it up. It'll be going through March. I think next week it'll be back at St. Thomas Aquinas on 2nd Street.
Marie Rodriguez for the record, just to follow up on helping people during the cold weather. A lot of our libraries have Christmas trees that they set up with free coats, scarves, hats, gloves for the community to come and take off of their trees. And our center also had some barrels with warm weather clothing that's available to the public. So if anybody knows of anybody, can let them know that.
Okay, we'll move on. Any future agenda items? And then we have one final public comment period. Looks like Valerie left the Zoom, maybe.
It does look like she left, Mr. Chair, and I don't have anyone registered for in-public person comment. And then if you are on Zoom and would like to give public comment, please raise your hand at this time. I'll give you a second to do so. You'll use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. Oh, okay, there we go. It looks like Valerie's back. So Valerie, I'm going to allow you to speak. And you should be able to unmute yourself.
Good. Can you hear me now with no feedback?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay. I wanted, when you were doing the appointment for the chairwoman, I guess now, Marie Rodriguez, I wanted to say thank you on that for the future on the massive 5 that'll be coming in hopefully tomorrow, including myself. I just want to say thank you so we get a chance to interact with you. And I agree, face to face and feeling touchy-feely. And so we have an agreement on vice chair, and since we're virgins coming in, we can be kind of prepared of what's coming down the pipeline. So we're not all noobs coming in with one person going, okay, I know kind of what I'm doing, and the rest of us are like scratching our heads, wondering what to do till we get onboarding and instructions. So thank you for how you presented it.
Of course. And yeah, we'll touch base soon, hopefully after tomorrow. So,
yes, thank you very much.
Of course. Have a good one.
Thanks, Valerie.
All right. And that concludes public comment, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, Jarrett Singh, for the record, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I would like the second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, guys.
You.